Well, good evening there, pipe pals and gals. Holy smoke and Pipe Padre coming back at you with another video. This is my July video. Let's see how we can do here. Okay, hope you're doing well. So I'm smoking. It's been a while since I made a video, probably about a month now. And so I've got this, I don't know if this is a Dunhill or not. This is the Peterson military bit. Unfortunately, this part here is old vulcanite, and I don't have any means of shining that up. But I was able to get the silver shined up. It was all kind of tarnished and black. So if I had this shined up, it might look almost like a Dunhill dress pipe. Yeah. And I'm using my old Dunhill lighter that I've had for, what, 18 years, not 18 years. Probably about 14 years. Unfortunately, I bought this, I bought this at the Briar Patch in Loman Plaza many years ago, and they were always nice enough when I would bring it in to, dress it up and clean it up for me. And I'm a little reluctant to try anything water-based to clean this. Maybe some Jeweler's Rouge or something, I don't know, but it needs a good cleaning. So I'd like to get that cleaned. Here's my little fakey Dunhill. That's my little fakey one. And I have an old boy at my ready, at my elbow as well. Yeah. So I'm making, and over here, just drinking some chamomile or chamomile. Some people say chamomile. I say chamomile tea. Man, it's been about 2 months, I think, Pipe Pal, since the old Holy Smoke and Pipe Padre, for the time being, has weaned himself off of coffee. Yeah, off of coffee and all caffeine products. Maybe talk about that a little bit later. But I been thinking about a dress Dunhill, because I've wanted one of those. That's the, of all my pipes, and I'm happy with my pipe collection. I have, I'm very blessed to have a nice pipe collection, and I definitely use it. I like rotating my pipes, as we all do. And one of the pipes that I've always wanted to get is a Dunhill dress pipe. So I'm kind of in the market. I'm looking around. My truck is, it all started with my truck. And you're probably wondering, well, look at those little wrinkles there. Yeah. It all started last Sunday. We have a extra mass for the summer that I do, and so normally it's a little bit of a challenge to find a parking space. Now I kind of figured it out kind of late in the game. I've been doing this now, going on 7 years. But I would try to frantically get over there and park. I mean, because I have to park there close because obviously I'm the padre. And there's a couple of little elderly people and they'll take my parking space and I don't have the heart to tell them, hey, get out of there, Actually, I had asked that one lady, I said, is there any way you could move? And she goes, well, I can't move. I'm elderly. I have to walk. Can't walk very far. And I went, that's okay. That's okay. So trying to move my my Tundra. I have a Tundra. I love it. But it's a dark charcoal gray. And I'm not really I had one that was which was a blue. It was called Cavalry Blue, and I just absolutely loved that one. But the lease ran out on that one, so I ordered another one back when they still were making the V8s, and who knew they were going to change the whole design and the whole engine and everything. Now it's some hybrid electric / kind of, I think it's a 6-cylinder with an electric component there. I don't know. But anyway, apparently they've been having nothing but absolute horrible problems with that engine. And I almost got that. I mean, it was almost like a Tesla truck, and I was almost seduced into getting one. And some dear friends kind of said, maybe it's better you just pay this thing off and at least have something that you'll have hopefully when you retire that'll be paid off, and it'll be, Toyotas with the old ones, you can get up to 300,000 miles. And I think I've got maybe 30,000 miles on this one. So it's still low mileage and it's still a good truck. But unfortunately, because of where I live and parking is such a premium up here, even in my garage, I've banged it up a little bit with pulling it out of the garage. I think I have like that much inches on either side when I pull the truck out. So it's a real art to be able to figure out how to gingerly remove it from the garage without denting it and scraping it, which I have done. And then I had a car wash down in Carson City that just loved to scratch the hell out of my driver's side door. And then I think they actually, one time, the component swung a little too close to the passenger rear fender and scraped the hell out of that. I didn't know about it until days later when I went down to some friends in Fairfield for Thanksgiving, and one of the boys said, hey, Father, what happened to your truck? And I go, what are you talking about? It's a brand new truck. And he goes, looks like somebody really scratched it up. And I went, what the heck? So it looked like, now again, I could have probably done it, maybe, or maybe somebody might, because I just never, it never registered that I hit anything or whatever. Of course, I'm kind of like Mr. Magoo now. I think I don't know all the goofy things that I don't do. I do that I'm not aware of. Anyway, and then so this last Sunday I was trying to park, and that horrible metal on metal sound. So fortunately it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but it was bad enough to where I need to take it into a body shop and get it fixed. So, but it's a dark gray, black color car. And when I first saw it in the advertisement, when the guy ordered it for me down at the dealership, I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. It looks like a dress pipe kind of a thing. I thought, so I want to get a dress pipe. In fact, this color here is probably a little more akin to what I have in the gray, dark gray. Yeah. So anyway, let's see is that going to focus? Oh, that's kind of cool. I'm using my MacBook Air, and I'm running the new beta software, beta 26. So it's well, a lot of times, software is software. We've had this discussion before, Pi Pals, and I won't belabor the point, but I like the new features, I really do, but unfortunately some of the older features don't show up or they don't work like they're supposed to. So Like right now, I can't add my nice Michael Knowles microphone. I'm just using, I think, the microphone in the MacBook Air, which is going to have to do for now. And it's got this little new, I guess they call this, what do they call this? Stage manager? Not stage manager, but center stage. I guess this is the center stage feature where the camera follows you around, which is kind of cool, you know, but it might be a little annoying to some of you. Okay, there we go. Center stage. Anyway, so, you know, but I just... Okay, okay, Pipe Pals, I'm back. Sorry about that. Again, I have no complaints coming. Beta software is beta software. We all know that. So I had to let go of the MacBook Air, and now I'm just on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I'm just using that. This is not beta software. It's just regular software. And looks like the microphone's working, so that's good. All right, so I'm happy about that. All right. So, oh, I forgot to tell you that I'm smoking Hell of the Wine. Okay, good old Hell of the Wine. Right. Okay, so I'm back. I wanted to make just a video. I had a burning desire to just have a pipe tonight. And I was, like I said earlier, I was thinking about possibly, you know, maybe getting a dress pipe one of these days. You know, that's one of the few pipes I think that I really would like to have, a Dunhill dress pipe. And I'm not sure exactly where I might get one. I'm sure it'd be eBay. I don't like buying things on eBay. It's very, very risky for a lot of reasons. I'm sure there are a lot of reputable sellers out there, but there are some that are not that reputable. And but I know a lot of people do use eBay to find things, and I'm not saying it's wrong, or it's just that I don't have a lot of confidence in getting something good. Now, you know, I'm looking at that looking a little bright there. Hold on. Yeah, normally that's a little bit better, I guess. And I don't have my studio light. I just have overhead lights. So I just wanted to get on and make a video. It's been almost a month, maybe a little over a month. And most of the time when I do smoke a pipe, it's usually just for the videos. I really do enjoy smoking a pipe. I know that I've probably on several occasions talked a little bit about things like addiction and you know, trying to be honest with yourself. I know that for a number of years, a lot of the pipe presenters, maybe some of them still do, have pipe acquired pipe acquisition disorder. Some of the guys would talk about that, had that addiction. You know, getting into the pipe hobby, and you know, and pipes are, I just think that they're a work of art. They really are beautiful creations in many ways. We have, of course, pipe craftsmen, pipe makers, master pipe makers in the YouTube community. Philip Rivera is one of them, and I know there's others. I think I've actually had 2 other guys make pipes for me in the past. So I think that, when you look at your pipe collection, and I think last month I realized that I said, why does it look so washed out and gray? All my pipes were in my pipe rack because I hadn't dusted them off in probably about 5 years. I mean, I'd pull one out and look at it and maybe smoke it on a video and then transfer it to my, I have like a little video box that has all of my pipe stuff in there that when I'm going to make a video, I just pull out the box and and I have now some of my collection in this little tote box that I just kind of pull out and say, well, which one do I feel like smoking tonight? And that's how it goes. But I still have the big rack of pipes, and actually a couple racks of pipes. And I just said, you know what? I really need to take better care of these. Again, it's so sad that we don't have a tender box anymore anywhere. There was one in Carson City and it's gone. No, actually Reno. I'm sorry, it was Reno. It's gone. And you could take your pipes in normally and you could get them buffed out and cleaned up for you. And it was just wonderful, wonderful service. Now towards the end there, I have my massive little collection here. And I would ask the guys to, periodically, take in a box of pipes, and they work on it for maybe a month, and then they turn it back to me, and I give them a little something for that. We didn't ask a whole lot. But the problem is that, it's hard to find reputable people that will, do those kinds of services. I tried doing it myself, and I'm lucky I didn't bust an eye doing it. I'm grateful that I had the foresight to, no pun intended, to wear safety goggles when I was trying to learn how to do it. And I got a buffer, but it wasn't the right speed, and so it didn't really do anything. It just kind of, moved the wax around a little bit. But you got to have a high speed and good. The people that know what they're doing know what I'm talking about. And if you're an amateur, and if someone can show you how to do it, that's good. But I think I burned one pipe. I got a little too aggressive, and I went, I think I ruined this pipe, or kind of disfigured it. But you need a high buffing wheel to buff out and polish the vulcanite. And the people that know what they're doing and trained it, and they've done it, have a lot of expertise. They can take an dingy old pipe that you've had laying around and make it look like a showroom brand new pipe, and it's just great. So anyway, I just wanted to get on and make a video tonight. Thinking about, and I can't, it's funny, I think the vulcanites do this too. There's a little bit of a gurgle in there now. And most of the ones that I have now are acrylic stems, and I think they smoke drier. It almost sounded like a hookah there a minute ago. But anyway, so it's a beautiful, some people would disagree with me that this is a beautiful summer evening, but I think it is. We're looking at maybe getting a little bit of summer rain tonight, I hope. It's July 22nd. Belated shout out to my buddy, Don, who celebrated a birthday yesterday on the 21st. I think we called him Country Piper. He's been on a couple of videos. I was hoping that next time he comes up, we could do a video together. I was hoping to do one for kind of his birthday thing, So anyway, but happy birthday to him. And if you're having a birthday out there, happy birthday to you too. Yeah. So, don't have a lot of burning desire things, so a lot of times I get, probably for some of you, a little overly political, and don't have a lot of political stuff I really have any burning desire to talk about tonight. But again, like a lot of us, we watch probably a lot of different YouTube stuff. And one of the guys that I really like watching is a guy from Vermont. His name is Kyle. I don't know he has a different last name, but I know his first name is Kyle, and he has trout and coffee videos. That's his brand name or his channel name, Trout and Coffee. And he's really the guy. He's a young guy, probably late 20s. He to put it in a nutshell, he's sort of like a modern day Huck Finn, Tom Sawyer type, you know. And he and his lady pal are they have a homestead there in Vermont, and they also have an additional cabin. And basically, he just chronicles his life, you know, between fixing up the old homestead and, you know, keeping up the cabin and all of his adventures. He loves, you know, going out on the river and fly fishing, and, you know, he loves, you know, just really making his home a nice place. It was just almost a dilapidated old moldy building, and they took it over and they've really transformed it in the last couple of years. And it's just, but there's a sense of
fly to the haunts that have quenched our hearts for years in nostalgia's claw.
I'm trying to find the right word to describe his videos, but it's like you kind of take usually they're about a half an hour long. And he does a lot of really cinematic stuff. I think that's the thing that I really noticed the very first time. Now, it probably helps being in New England because it's a very cinematic state. And I'm sure he has his video editing tools that he can punch up some colors and maybe, wouldn't say exaggerate them, but certainly enhance them to where they're like really spectacular. And whether they're fall videos or summer videos or winter videos or what have you. But, you know, and he talks about, you know, it's not just kind of like Pinterest. I guess that's the thing where people go to find design ideas and things that are, you know, very evocative and stylish, right? And there's a lot of YouTubers that I think have really made a kind of a niche for themselves by just making these really beautiful cinematic videos. And this guy Kyle's one of those. There's a little girl named, what's her name? Forgot her, Piaget, or I think that's her last name. Isabel Piaget, I think it is, Isabel Piaget. And she makes these she's kind of like a little woodland fairy, you know, and she lives out supposedly she lives out in the wilderness by herself. I think she has a boyfriend, or she's married now. No, she's married now. And but anyway, she makes these absolutely gorgeous videos. They're just stunning. You know, the colors pop and they're cinematic, and it just takes your breath away. And it's just one of these things where I think you watch these videos and you just kind of immerse yourself into their world. They invite you to be a part of their world, you know. And again, the ones like about Kyle that I like is it's not all sunshine and roses. I mean, most of the part is very positive stuff, and you know, you see him, you know, making a road, you know, to his new house and putting on a new roof, and you know, putting in a garden, you know, and all this stuff, and you know, and he has his share of troubles, which he's not shy about. You know, the tractor broke down. Now what am I going to do? Now I got to fix this tractor. I got to fix the dump truck. You know, because he has all these little tools. You know. Has a little cat, you know, backhoe kind of a thing, and he knows how to use these tools, and he does a great job, and he just really has transformed the property that he has, and that's really fun to see. But you just feel really good after watching one of Kyle's videos because they're just so, again, they're cinematic, and he also has like, you know, voiceovers where he talks about going down to the old river and finding the old fishing hole. And like I said, he's kind of like a modern day Huck Finn or Tom Sawyer kind of a character. But I mean, he's a real person, obviously. But just watching his videos are very relaxing. They're just like, you know, it's enjoyable. You know, it's very easy to watch his videos. They usually come out on a Sunday afternoon. which I like. And so after I'm done with my life, I gotta, get something to eat, and I'm sitting in front of the TV there and watch Kyle and Allie, I guess that's her name, and just how they, are creating a nice home for themselves. And it's very, maybe I'll be playing some videos. Again, I don't script these videos clearly, and I kind of think on the fly. And so maybe I've been playing some of his little videos up here if I can, without too many copyright strikes. I'm just trying to promote his videos and introduce you to this. But he's a really great creator, I guess. He's a true, I guess, video creator. So, and again, sometimes you can kind of learn a few things from him. He's kind of self-taught, and he has some friends that kind of from time to time will, when he gets into a particular dilemma, whether it's one of the pieces of equipment breaks down and he's trying to figure out how do I fix this, he has people that kind of come to his help. Not so much they fix it for him, but they kind of tell him, well, this is what you need to do, and he'll kind of, okay, like get the right gasket for this hydraulic system and whatever. And it's just interesting to see him tackle in a creative way his world, his life. And it's, again, he makes it look very picturesque. And I every now and then I kind of think there's got to be, for the most part, he's not, I don't think he's, somebody who is, because a lot of times people say, well, when the people that you see on the videos, is that the real them, or are they just, faking it, or are they just acting, And I don't think that, I'm always amazed at how many camera angles that he makes during one of his problem-solving things, And I'm thinking, if I was trying to fix a piece of equipment, the last thing on my mind would be like, well, I got to get the right camera angle for this segment of the video. And unless the guy is a millionaire and this is just a hobby of his, But to me, I think it's real life. And it probably is for the most part. So, when you're going through, like, he gets sometimes stuck, sometimes his vehicles, he drives, maybe go on a vacation, and then the van that they're driving in doesn't run now. It's dead in the water type thing. But yet he will document that through his videos. And I'm thinking, the last thing I'm going to think about when I've got a problem, like I got a car that's dead on the road, I'm not going to think about setting up a camera, but that's probably the magic of his videos, is that it seems like you're there with him trying to figure it out. Like he's going to hand you a wrench and say, hey, you hold this wrench and I'm going to turn the other wrench on the other side, kind of thing. It's like, it kind of has that feel to it. And that's probably part of the charm too. It's like, okay, let's see him solve this particular problem, or see him create, and we're going to make this rock garden now, and and you see him digging up the dirt, with his backhoe, and then they start filling in the rock and everything, and it's really, I don't know, it's kind of reminiscent. It's not the same thing really, but it's reminiscent of a Bob Ross video. It has that kind of evocativeness to it. It makes you feel good, and you really enjoy. And again, the scenery, a lot of the scenery he does. I'm sure he does all of this camera work, obviously. I think he has not just a drone, but I think he has what's called an FPV drone, because he just gets these really cool videos of the river, and I'm going, how did you do that? I could see if it was like on a long pole and you're pushing the camera forward, literally skimming the rocks in the water. But no, he's got some good video flying skills. At least to me, it seems like he's got a really great FPV drone that does these really great shots. Flying through the trees and stuff. I have a drone, and every now and then you see me, sharing some of my drone footage. Maybe I'll throw some of it up here. I took some a couple of days ago. But this guy really knows what he's doing, and he does a really good job. And like I said, at the end of the video, you feel like, you had a nice visit with a friend. Yeah, that's what I would say. That's what it comes across, is you're having you're catching up with an old friend, and just you check it in, just like we do sometimes when we visit, stop by, and I haven't seen so and so in a while. I'm going to stop by and visit them, kind of a thing, and maybe you have a little repast with them, light up the barbecue, or pour them a glass of wine, or make them a cup of tea. So anyway, I been kind of inspired by this Kyle and others. There's other people that make very beautiful cinematic videos, and every now and then I get a little respite. I get a little break to maybe investigate and kind of experiment with my tech and say, well, what else can I do with this stuff? I got this stuff and I'd like to really put it to use. I mean, that's how this all got started, really. I was interested in computers for the longest time, and then a friend of mine said, hey, you seem like you're really interested in computers. Would you like to learn how to build them and put them together? I said, get serious, And he goes, no, I can show you how to build a system if you're interested. And long story short, I took this class. He had a week-long class, and I got in the class, and just building computers was something I really enjoyed. And then after about 10 years of doing that, I kind of got tired of finding that you put together a computer, and it wouldn't do everything that you wanted it to do, especially when it came to video editing or and filmmaking. And so one of my dear friends said, I was watching a commercial for Macintosh, and they just say, because I was always having problems with my Windows machines. The video card didn't work, or there was some problem with the motherboard, or anyway, it's just, updating the RAM and all that stuff. And she says, why don't you just go to Mac? They say they just work, and I thought, but little did we all know that a couple of years after that, that I actually got my first Mac, and they say you never go back. So, and Mac does a lot of great video stuff, but now Windows does a lot of the same things, But anyway, so I got bit by the video filmmaking bug, and I just threw myself into it. And fortunately, I was able to find some videos, tutorials, and learn a little bit every day, and able to start making videos. And I made the videos for the prison that I was a chaplain in for a number of years, and they had closed circuit TV. And so once I made the video, I'd burn it onto a disc, and I'd take it into the people that played the programs on the closed circuit TV, and I'd say, well, here. And a lot of the inmates would watch my corny videos at the time, and I'd basically record the mass and a little homily, and and so I kind of got into it. And then later I thought, why not start publishing to YouTube? And I think it was 2008 when I started my very first YouTube video, so for YouTube. And after that, it just kind of snowballed into this. And then a few years later, I was invited by one of the pipe presenters on YouTube to consider joining the YouTube pipe community. That's how I got started, and I thought, well, this will be like an avocation. I do my homilies on my homily channel, and but have a secondary channel just for like talking about things, and pipes, pipes and pipetificating, And I met some really nice people over the years in the pipe community, and actually met a few of them in real life, and nice people. I'm not really a big. I watch some videos. I don't comment a lot on videos. Again, I'm just really busy. I mean, just to make this video here, and to just keep a little presence on the community platform is about basically all I can do right now. Who knows? If I ever retire someday, maybe I'll be able to sit back and actually enjoy watching a lot of your old content, your content and stuff. But there's a lot of YouTube categories that I watch, and a lot of it, of course, is related to faith and theology and religion, and my faith, Catholic faith. So that's something that I watch a lot of too. trying to kind of figure out what's going on in the church sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit dicey, as you know. I have one of the persons that I communicate with regularly, and he's a very devout Catholic gentleman, and been very encouraging over the years, the last few years that he's been acquainted with my channel. And but again, there's a lot of people that they kind of intersect in different things. So maybe they're part of the YouTube pipe community, but also maybe they're part of maybe the Catholic community, the religious community, or maybe the Apple community, people like that. So they kind of have like overlap. There's, they kind of have intersections at times. And so, but yeah, it's been a really wonderful experience. And, I learn lots of new things every time I make a video. And I'm still enamored with the art of making videos, trying different things. Sometimes I do little specials, as you all know, like my little Halloween special. And I've done some pretty goofy things on that. But for the most part, I really think it's fun to learn new things. I think that's one of the most important things. The older you get, you have something that stimulates your thinking and your problem-solving portion of your cognition there, so you can kind of stay a little more alert than just sitting around and just completely just vegging out. So that's something I like about the video editing part of this whole thing. And I like still, it's like I said, I was thinking earlier about, a Dunhill dress pipe, and said, I haven't, that's one of my things that I'd like to, acquire. But I'm not sure, again, with the Lohman Center Briar Patch, they could order you. That guy named Ron, I think it was Ron Livingston, was his name. Anyway, I think he moved to Arizona now, but he was really good, and the other guys that worked for him, they were really good too. I think there was Matt and Sean, good old Matt and Sean. I really like those guys. Miss them. But the thing is that, you could kind of go in there and tell them what you were looking for, whether you were looking for a new pipe or you were looking for a pipe blend, or even cigars. They had the cigars there too. So, it was just nice to have a tobacconist in your life, a real genuine tobacconist, and the Tinderbox and the Briar Patch, they just had that wonderful, old world charm, the old pipe, the old pipe shop, ye old pipe shop, in the village feel to it, and I just loved that. But unfortunately, because we live in such a PC world, they decided they were gonna, literally, burn out, they came for the pipe tobacconist, they came for the pipe shop, in the malls, and they kicked them all out. It's kind of sad. There was a little resurgence about 10 years ago, 15 years ago of cigars. Cigars kind of became kind of famous, or kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Fashionable. They were fashionable for a little while. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger and a lot of the celebs were kind of discovering the cigar thing, and so. But I think that's kind of petered out. So just to, get on here and just make a simple video, not anything, no barn burner sermons tonight, no rowdy politicking tonight. Just thought I'd just get on here and enjoy a pipe with y'all, and just kind of share what was kind of just on the forefront of mind there. Things that make an impression, a positive impression. There are things that I think that I could probably start doing, but it would take an awful lot of planning to make videos in the style of, say, like Kyle. And I've tried to do that a little bit about a year ago, and I actually got an actual Sony camera, real, not just the iPhone camera, but a Sony camera. Okay. I'm wondering what that was. I don't think the iPhone has center stage, so that'll be interesting if they bring that to the iPhone. And one of the things, right now we're right now getting ready for the new iPhone's coming out in another month and a half, I guess, September, and some other new products and all that stuff. But one of the things, and this is the thing that I think really got me intrigued with Apple, 20 years ago now? Golly, has it been 18 years ago, was that I understood, and I did not read it right, I was wrong on this one, but when I first got into the Apple ecosystem, I had the impression that because it was the iPhone that ran iOS, not Mac OS, that I thought that you could actually run your computer off of the phone. I thought, man, that's fascinating. It's incredible. Well, that was never a thing. Now, I hear that there's a thing called, I guess DeX or something like that for Samsung phones, where essentially you can kind of do that. And the rumor is right now that they're saying that maybe this new iPhone coming out might have what we call, is it not Stage Manager? That's where the camera photos are. What's the other thing? The problem with Apple branding, and when they name their nomenclature, it's sometimes it's very confusing. Not Stage Manager. Anyway, but basically, if they put this one app or this one program on the iPhone, then technically you could plug it into a monitor and you would be able to, have a fully operating system on a big screen. Again, Samsung phones have that. I didn't know that until just today, but I think that would be fascinating. I don't know if Apple's going to do it. There's talk that they might do it, but then again, that's just a rumor. So, but just seeing how far you can push the technology to make it do the things that you want it to do. That's the thing that I have always found intriguing, and that's probably the reason why I still dabble into all this stuff, is like, well, what could I get this to do if I wanted to do this? And sometimes it works, and then sometimes it just doesn't. I was playing around with, I have a little Windows machine. I got it about 6 months ago. It's a little Windows Surface, and I've always been intrigued by those. And I got one just because my friend, I got him a new Windows laptop, but I don't really dabble in Windows. And so I thought, I probably should try to stay somewhat current with trying to know how to also use the Windows operating system. I was a big Windows XP guy, and that was where I kind of left my Windows experience and went to Mac, is right at the height of XP. But basically, it's kind of another, Windows 10, Windows 11's just a Windows shell that, it has different, where all the different buttons and everything are kind of different and they're laid out differently, but you can still figure it out. And I thought, well, I'm going to get this, because Mac has they still have optical drives. I know some of you are thinking this is probably inane that I'm talking about all this stuff, but you can still use an optical drive with the MacBooks, the MacBook, the Studios, I guess the Mac Pros still. I don't know if you could put a DVD, CD drive in the new Mac Pros, the big ones. After being burned twice, well, I gotta say that my first Mac Pro, I loved it. It was a great machine, fantastic machine. But when the software stopped supporting the software with the updates, it was like, well, now it's obsolete. You know, you can still run some things on it, but you know, you can't run the current programs and Final Cut Pro and all that. Actually, you can, I think, but extremely slow. But anyway, and tedious. But the thing is that so they have these external drives. They have DVD players for computers. So I got 2 of those. And so I thought, well, I'll get one for me and one for my buddy Don, and then, you know, show him how to hook it up, because it's really no problem. Usually with Windows, it's plug and play. So I got this little DVD player, and I'm like, this is going to be cool. I can plug it into my Surface. So I'm going to be able to play DVDs. This is going to be cool. Nope. Went into Device Manager, and it doesn't even show up. I'm going, what the heck? What's wrong with this thing? And I thought, oh, I know what I need to do. Just restart it, plug it in, and then restart it, and it'll find the DVD player. Oh, no. And I spent probably about 2 hours trying to figure out what it needs. I thought, well, maybe I need to download a driver and everything. I said, well, let me check the documentation. So the other day I said, let me see now if I just need to download a driver, and that's all I need to do. And it says in the fine print, not compatible with Microsoft Surface. So there's no way it's going to work, you know. But it might work. It might work with my Mac. Who knows? But anyway, I already got the Super Drive, and I think it plays DVDs. I mean, it plays Blu-ray, but it does play DVDs, I think. Anyway, but I love that. And then a lot of the challenges that I think are really fun is when you can kind of figure out how to hook up an old piece of tech to a new piece of tech, and get, you know, because a lot of times what happens with tech is that they phase out certain things, like DVDs, right? You know, they phase those things out, and you can't really use them anymore. And it's sad. It's sad. You know, I think a lot of people still have VHS players, and I found a little thing on Amazon that records beautifully VHS, and I think it kind of upscales it just a tad, not a lot, but you know, I think if you upscale it too much, it probably doesn't look real. It looks kind of blown out. But anyway, there's a little device, and I got one of those to actually make copies of my friend's DVDs, not DVDs, but VHS that he had. His dad had recorded a lot of PBS stuff years ago, and so I was able to save some of that and digitize it, and he was really happy about that. But again, that's another little challenging thing that I love to do, is say, okay, like I have this little microphone. It's a realistic microphone. And for life, I mean, I can't get it to work on my iPads or my phones or my computers or laptops or my iPads. It just doesn't work. And of course, it has the old phono plugs. It's a stereo. It's a little stereo mic. And I had one years ago. I loved it. I used it with my Pioneer tape deck thing, and I used to make cassette tapes and sing and all this stuff that I used to do. And I just thought, I love that mic. You know, I love my mic collection. I got a little mic collection going now. I think a lot of you know that already. And but these are all highly professional mics. But that little stereo mic, that little realistic from Radio Shack mic, was probably the best mic that I think I ever had, really. And I just loved it. My best friend had one, and it was great. And for some reason, I can't get it to work with the modern day stuff. So I wanted to take it into, I think there's an actual guy that works on stereo equipment, old hi-fi stereo equipment in Truckee, and say, is there some is there a transistor or something that's burned out on this, and could it be fixed and replaced, but and maybe it just needs a special analog converter to digital, but I thought I had that, but it just doesn't work. So anyway, but like I said, I really find it fascinating to be able to marry up old technology with the newer stuff. And there's a couple of guys out there that really are awesome guys that use the older stuff and they make it work. And to me, that's what it. See, the whole Apple thing at one time was a bunch of creative hippies that really thought I want to be able to think outside the box, and I want to make my stuff work for me. I don't care about the latest and the greatest. If I can get this thing to do what I want it to do, that's all I need. And they'd find creative workarounds, and you would be amazed. I knew a little group of people who were, they were like a little Catholic, I wouldn't say they were like a Catholic commune, but they were lay people living in community. And they had the oldest software that you'd ever want to see. And I was intrigued at how they made it all work. I said, "You're still using that program? That's amazing." And they were doing great things with that older stuff. And I just thought, well, to me, that's the artistry. That's what a real Mac power user is all about. You're able to really it's like a violinist could find an old cheap violin and make it sound like something from Carnegie Hall, That's the thing I'm talking about. Real artistry. Yeah, that's what guess this whole video has all been about really talking about artistry and creating things. And that really excites me. It's like, what can I do to make this a little more, I hate to use the word now because it's such a cliche word, cinematic, what can I do to make it more fun? What could I do? So that's the thing, it's taking all the tech, and that's what really started this whole thing 20 some odd years ago. I had all these old Windows. Well, they weren't old at the time, but they weren't state of the art. They weren't brand new, but they were things that I put together, and was trying to learn the video craft. And sometimes I'd have success, and sometimes I wouldn't. And I pulled my hair out. That's why I don't have any hair anymore. And but then you find out workarounds and creative workarounds, and you go, hey, I like that even better. And so that's what I think this Kyle guy, he doesn't have. He makes money. I'm sure he makes good money. Enough to live on, certainly, and to, but his first goal is to fix his house because it needs a lot of fixing, and they're doing a great job, as I said earlier, repairing their house. But he doesn't have the latest and greatest tech. I think, in fact, they show him editing his videos, and he has an old x86 MacBook iMac Pro, which I still have mine. I love that machine. That was next to my Mac Pro, my actual Mac Pro, the cheese grater Mac, the original. My iMac Pro was my second. I bought that here I guess 6 years ago, going on 7 years. It came out, I think, in 2017, and I got here in 2019. So I think it was that summer that I was here that I actually broke down and bought one. And I love that machine. It's a great machine. I dare say that I could probably still do a lot of video editing on that one, albeit it would be pretty slow. But maybe I should try that just for fun, just for grins. See how it's holding up. But that x86 processor was a pretty darn good processor, and it did a lot of good stuff for those Apple iMacs. So anyway. Well, I think I'm going to marry this up with that little 10-minute video that I started off with. And so I think we're going to be about close to 52, almost 53 minutes here. I try to keep these around under an hour, as most of you know. So thanks for tuning in to the old Holy Smokin' Pie Padre again. Nice seeing you all. Nice talking to you all. But I guess I'll close with this. Summer sometimes is very evocative, and if you're not careful, or you are careful, and you're kind of listening to those little ghosts of yesteryear, they can kind of stimulate you to think, what would it be like if? What would it be like if I did thus and such? And then that to me is. That's what I think I like about summer. It reminds me when I was a young kid, maybe 14, 13, whatever, and I would go visit my buddy up the street, and it was a summer night, and we just lay on the back of a car, and look up at the sky, and still then you could still see the stars. Not like you can up here, but you could still see the stars, and it was great. And you would just think about all sorts of things, and But that's what I like about summer. It kind of gives you that moment to think about what if, What if? What could be if? That kind of thing. All right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. And as I like to say, as I say in all my videos, light up your world, light up your pipe before it goes out. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.